Good morning. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith at the National Weather Service in Pocatello with your weather hazard briefing for Monday, February 19th, 2024. Do have a few things to talk about this morning. First one actually kind of being a break in the weather. We're in between systems here, or at least in between rounds of precipitation coming through southeast Idaho. The caveat to this is we do have some patchy dense fog and even some low stratus clouds out there this morning. So for aviation folks and for those who may be driving and encountering some of these patches of dense fog, that will be a concern here through the morning hours. So just remember to slow down when encountering fog. Keep your low beam headlights on. If it gets really bad, try to use the painted lines on the highway to help guide you, or try to get off the road as far as possible if you're in a very dangerous situation. Luckily, not expecting this fog to be terribly widespread, but when you do encounter it, it may be quite dense with visibilities occasionally as low as 1/4 mile or so. Outside of that, we're going to be quiet here for a number of hours until we get into this afternoon. The next round of precipitation coming in, widespread rain and snow shower activity arriving this afternoon across the region. Snow levels generally running about 5,500 to 6,500 feet. So it's going to be yet another mixed precipitation scenario depending on exactly where you're located. Most areas seeing pretty low snow totals out of this system. That moisture is going to be focused across the southern half of the forecast area, so really not a lot stacking up across parts of the Central Mountains up into the Centennials and Big Holes. But if you do happen to be traveling down over Immigration Summit in particular, we think the Bear River Range is going to pick up some of the greatest snowfall totals out of this next round from this afternoon into tonight. And I'll show you that graphically here in just a moment, so do be aware of that down on Idaho 36. Beyond this next round, it will remain unsettled. We're still in an active weather pattern with a low pressure center sitting just to the west of our forecast area, and that's going to mean light rain and snow shower activity through much of the week, but looks like we may have a break coming on Friday and Saturday under high pressure. So if you're looking for a drier period with maybe a little bit more confidence, I'd say keep an eye on the forecast here as we head toward the end of the week and the first half of the weekend. Breaking it down here by day in your weather risk outlook, generally minor impacts, lots of yellow showing up here on our chart, but quite a bit going on. We do have that patchy morning fog painted across all of our area here for today and tomorrow mornings. Again, not widespread. Many of you won't see this, particularly if you're not out doing much driving during the morning hours, but there will be quite a few spots out there with these patches of fog running around during the morning hours. Then today we bring in that afternoon organized rain and snowfall. I'm going to time that out for you here in just a moment. And down here in the Southeast Highlands, we did highlight this Monday and Tuesday with more moderate impacts. Not so much for the cities listed here like Lava Hot Springs and Preston, but really, again, over Immigration Summit, going to be particularly impactful there with snow on the highway. We start to taper back a little bit on this activity as we go into Tuesday, but particularly into Wednesday. Generally just a few hit and miss rain and snow showers out there. We kind of limit the aerial coverage as we go into Thursday, so portions of the Snake Plain, the eastern Magic Valley, even up in parts of the southern Central Mountains, really not seeing much in the way of precipitation on Thursday, but better confidence by Friday that we'll see a more organized break in this active weather pattern, at least as far as precipitation goes. And we'll have to keep an eye out, too, for maybe some more patchy fog creeping into this outlook here as we go over the next couple days. Current satellite loop out there this morning, you can see there is some blue, as we often see during the morning here across portions of our forecast area. This is generally low stratus clouds in the upper Snake Plain extending out over the Arco Desert, but some of these blue splotches are some of that patchy fog running around as well. And then on top of that, you can see all this moisture loading up to our west, getting lots of rainfall in portions of California, and some of that moisture is starting to make its way into Nevada. It's going to be headed our way this afternoon. Current radar loop this morning, not much going on, so a lot more in the way of cloud cover and that patchy fog, but not so much in the way of precipitation. Again, as soon as we get into this afternoon, that'll start to change. So we're going to time that out for you here. Here's a look first at Arbon Valley on Interstate 86, just a little while ago here, not far from our office, where some of that fog has been drifting in and out over portions of the interstate here. So again, slow down if you do encounter that patchy, dense fog this morning. Also, no watches, warnings, and advisories in effect at the moment. Our office out of Salt Lake City has issued winter weather advisories for the mountains south of the border here if you're headed down into Utah. And again, we're very close to needing one here in portions of the Bear River Range, just to the west of Bear Lake, kind of lining up with the alerts that they have out right now. But really borderline for those exact accumulations reaching advisory criteria. And particularly, we look at Immigration Summit, as that's where we have highway impacts there. So we'll be keeping an eye on that throughout the day. But regardless of whether we have an advisory out or not, do plan on winter travel conditions late this afternoon into tonight and likely much of Tuesday as well over Immigration Summit. Low temperatures this morning, generally starting out here in the teens to some low 20s, depending on exactly where you are. We're actually at 19 degrees at last check here at the Pocatello Airport, so quite a bit colder out here than we're actually seeing in town, where temperatures are in the mid-20s. And then high temperatures for today, leaning a bit mild, getting up into the upper 30s to low 40s. You can see those warmer readings here in across the eastern Magic Valley into the Raft River region, stretching right up through Pocatello and Idaho Falls, 43 there for your high temperature today, and even Driggs down in the Teton Valley there, 42 degrees. So definitely a mix of rain and snow, depending on your elevation. And a lot of our population centers here, right up our interstate corridors, right up the Snake Plain, going to be leaning mostly or all rain here with this next round of precipitation moving in. So, like I said, let's time this out. Let's give you a general idea of what we're expecting here. This is just one of the many models that we look at. This one in particular we call the NAM Nest, or the 3-kilometer NAM. Just one of several that we look at here in the office. And as I always caution, don't get too caught up with looking at the exact timing of one of these little splotches for a particular community. Let's look at the overall flavor of the model here as we time out this band of precipitation coming in. So we kick things off at 11 a.m. Pretty dry, pretty quiet across most of the region, but off to the west near Stanley and down into the Twin Falls area, this corridor, we're starting to see a little bit of that precipitation creep into the picture. As we advance to noon, and then 1 p.m., you can see that precipitation expanding across portions of the western and southern central mountains, across the eastern Magic Valley, maybe not quite to Pocatello yet, but getting close. And you can see that mixed precipitation mode with the rainfall down in the lower elevations of the eastern Magic Valley, mixing with or mostly snow as you get up just a little higher in elevation, including up toward Arco and Craters of the Moon, where temperatures will hold just a few degrees colder. By 2 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock, that precipitation expands into most of the forecast area, includes most of our Interstate 15 population centers here from Pocatello up to Idaho Falls and Rexburg, all the way up to Monida Pass, probably getting close to Malad by that time as well. By 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, we've made it to the Wyoming border with precipitation here this afternoon, and it's maybe just a little more widespread than this particular model is showing, actually. Some of the other models are pretty robust, pretty widespread with this band of precipitation moving through. We may start to back off actually on precipitation here in the Central Mountains by 5 or 6 o'clock. Yeah, this particular model at 5 is still showing at least some snow shower activity out that way, but by 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, we start to clear that out from the west. Still lots of precipitation in the I-15 corridor in the southern and eastern highlands. And again, low elevation rain, high elevation snow showing up in the model here. And then by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we continue that trend off into the southern and eastern highlands, and I'll end it there at 9. Generally, as we go into tonight, the continued rain and snow shower activity will be focused south of Pocatello, east of Pocatello, up toward Driggs and the Big Holes as well. Some of that will hold on, at least in a showery nature, for much of the overnight tonight. Here's our expected snowfall out of this particular round. This is just under 24-hour period. Kicks off about 11 a.m. or noon today when we begin to move that precipitation in, and it ends at 5 a.m. Tuesday morning when this first batch of precipitation generally winds down. Again, we convert into more hit-and-miss shower activity as we go forward over the next couple days after that. You can see not much across the north. Generally, a very light coating. There's a couple inches here in some of the southern central mountains, particularly south of Galena Summit, but not so much as you get down into Haley and the southern Wood River Valley. Spot that stands out is here in the Bear River Range, where we may see a solid 4 to as much as 8 inches of snow over that area, including the Immigration Summit area. So again, watch for winter travel conditions down that way. Looking at percent chance of 1 inch of snow or more, a lot of areas pretty bare here, including our population centers from the Eastern Magic Valley right up the Snake Plain. Really got to get up into some of our mountains for these probabilities to increase of seeing that 1 inch of snow. It'll probably be pretty wet snow for the areas that do see it, and best chance again down here in the Bear River Range. Temperatures remaining fairly steady as we go over the week as well. Here's high temperature forecast for Tuesday here on the left, Wednesday here on the right. Very little difference, just a couple degree difference between the two. Maybe some upper 40s to near 50s creeping into the picture here on Tuesday afternoon from Twin Falls and Jerome, eastward through Burley, maybe approaching American Falls, but generally we're getting up into the upper 30s to mid 40s just about every day here across the region, and that won't change much as we go into Thursday as well. That's what we're looking at here for the next few days across the region. As always, feel free to reach out to us here at the office if you have particular questions or support needs. Our information is across the bottom of this slide. Everyone have a safe and happy Monday.